first function is unspecified time. The present perfect is used to describe something in the past when we don't know when it happened, or when it happened is not very important. Function number 2 is repetition. The present perfect is used to describe something in the past that happened many times. For example, I've traveled to Bali twice, or I've eaten at that restaurant many times. Function number 3 is started in the past, continue until now, and may or may not continue into the future. For the example, I have used this LinkedIn since yesterday. I use this LinkedIn since yesterday. Now, I still use this LinkedIn. But tomorrow, I may or may not continue to use this LinkedIn.
So in this session, I would like to tell you about the signal word for the present perfect. So basically, the signal word is used to help us to recognize which tense we can use. So there's so many signal word in present perfect. Like the first one is ever and never. Second one is already, just, not, and yet. The third one is so far, until now, or up to now. And the last one is for and since, that often used with the stative form. In addition, the signal word of just, already, ever and never always follow the auxiliary. For example, I've just finished this great book. And then the other signal word like yet, so far, for, and since usually come at the end of the phrase. For example, I haven't read that book yet. And you need to remember that already is used in positive sentence, whereas yet is used in negative sentence and in a question. For example, if there is a question like, have you started this book yet? In a positive answer, you can say that yes, I've already finished it. But in a negative sentence, you can say like, no, I haven't started it yet. And for your information, some of the signal word for the present perfect are basically the same for those that use in past perfect, and then the difference is only whether they refer to the time, is it in the present or
now we are focusing on the structure of present perfect tense. What does it look like? Yeah, it looks like subject plus have or has plus main verb in past participle form. The subject you already know, that you can use a proper noun or a pronoun. In the perfect tense, the verb have is an auxiliary verb. It's a helping verb. It's not the main verb in the sentence. Have or has is depending on the subject the verb is conjugated with. The last element is the past participle of the verb, which is usually formed by adding ed or d to the first root. Can anyone give me such example? Please raise your hand. Yeah, good. Watch. Okay. Time. Down, walk, and the others. Okay, thank you everyone. Although in English does have quite a few verbs that have irregular past participle. What are they? Yes, like done, said, felt, etc. I think you quite understood about it. Okay guys, that's all about the positive sentence of present perfect tense. Then, what about the negative sentence of present perfect tense? Of course, we need to add no to our sentence or our structure. So the pattern is subject plus have or has plus not plus main verb in past participle form. While, how about the question sentence? In question sentence, we need to change the position of auxiliary verb. So the pattern is have or has and then subject plus main verb in past participle form. Okay guys, that's all about the structure of present perfect tense. Then, let's
After knowing the formula present perfect tense, you should be curious of how do you use the right sentence based on context. Now, it's my turn to explain what are the examples of positive sentence, negative sentence, and interrogative sentence in the present perfect tense. Want to know? Watch the following video. Check it out. The first is positive sentence. If you use are, you, they, and we, the example is they have lived in Bali for a long time. But if you use she, he, and it, the example is she has learned English for 1 year. The second one is negative sentence. The first example is, they have not lived in Bali for a long time. And the example number 2 is, she has not learned English for 1 year. And the last one is interrogative sentence. You can change have and has to be a front on the example sentence. The first one example is, have they lived in Bali for a long time? And the second example is, has she learned English for 1 year? Okay, that's all from me. Okay friends, the next material will be...
Now I will tell you about the example sentence of using present perfect tense when we want to talk about unfinished activities. So the first is, James has not finished his homework yet. And then the second is, Susan hasn't mastered Japanese, but she can communicate. The third is, Bill has still not arrived. This type of being used to explain about unfinished activities. Present perfect tense also can be used to explain about several activities that occur in a different time period. The example of the sentence are like this. The army has baked that city pipe. Then, she has talked to several specialists about her problem, but nobody knows why she is sick. The other example is like this. He has paid these bills since July. Okay everyone, so that was my explanation about the use of present perfect tense when we want to talk about unfinished activities, and also when we want to talk about several activities that occur in a different time periods. And for the next, my friend will continue the matter.
When we use to talk about experiments, for example, I have been to Indonesia. I think I have seen that movie before. Joshua has studied 2 Guru languages. Present perfect tense when we use to express the change, for example, you have grown since the last time I saw you. My English has really improved since I moved to Australia. Present perfect tense when we use to express achievement or result, for example, man has walked on the moon. Our son has learned how to read. Scientists have split the gap.
Okay, now I would like to explain how to use present perfect tense in passive form. First of all, I will mention a very important thing that you should not miss when you will use the present perfect into the passive form. The important thing is the formula. So, the passive form formula of the present perfect tense is object plus have or has plus been plus verb 3 plus by plus subject. This is the following things you need to do when changing active to passive form using the present perfect tense pattern. Number 1, move the object into the subject that will receive the action. Number 2, if the subject is I, you, they, we or plural noun, that means you should use have been. Remember that, have been. And if the subject is he, she, it or singular noun, you should use has been. Number 3, we must add the word been before verb 3. Number 4, we can add the word by before mentioning the subject. Remember that only sentences that have an object can be used as passive. If there is no object, it cannot be converted into a passive form. Okay, now that we know the formula, let's move on to the example of using the present perfect tense in the passive form. For example, Kimi has finished the exam. In this sentence, there is Kimi as the subject, has finished as the verb, and the exam as the object. So we can change the sentence in the passive form. Okay, now let's change the sentence into the passive form. The object is moved to the front and the subject is placed behind. And don't forget to add has or have been and also by before the subject. So the passive form is the exam has been finished by Kimi. It's so easy, right? Now let's make your own sentence and make the passive form until you fully understand. Okay, that's all about my explanation. Thank you for your attention, and now I will give it back to the moderator.